Hi again. We're on page 89 of Three Worlds Plan of Redemption by Nelson Barbour, Charles Taze Russell. Barbour has taken up his theory that there is a parallel in the length of time that Israel were in covenant with God and the length of time the church will be in covenant. They occupy the same length of time, parallel dispensations, and his theory is based upon this text from Isaiah. Comfort ye, my people, saith your God. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her warfare, and the margin of that, he says, his appointed time, is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she hath received at the Lord's hand double for all her sins. And his commentary on that is as follows. The idea may be a little startling, but in the spring of 1878, a point in their history will be reached when this latter half will be just equal to the former. In other words, the measure of the period during which they held a peculiar relationship to God and the measure of this time during which they have been utterly cast off will be equal. Double means two equal parts, and in the spring of 1878, which at this point when the book was written was just a few months away, they will have received double for all their sins. Will not the comforting message then go forth and the work of their restitution commence? This prophecy of Isaiah concerning the double, or their chastisement in two equal parts, is not alone. We find it in Jeremiah, and in Zechariah we find the very day the double, or last half, began. In Jeremiah 16, verses 13 to 18, there is a clear statement that he would cast them off, where he would not show them favor, which did not occur until they rejected their Messiah. And this is followed by a promise of a restoration back to their own land. And first I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double. That's verse 18 of Jeremiah 16. And in Zechariah 9 to 12, the prophecy of Christ riding into Jerusalem, and the statement occurs, even today do I declare I will render double unto thee. That's Zechariah 9 verse 12. And it was that very day he wept over the city, left their house desolate, and the second half, which makes the double, began. These are all strong points, and to me they do not appear far-fetched, while the facts of their history and the probabilities that they are on the eve of a restoration to Palestine also lend their support to this view. The argument from the prophecies leaves the last half of this double period a blank, but there is a second argument drawn from the types in the law, which touches the gospel church that was to fulfill this latter half, and makes the Jewish and gospel dispensations equal, not merely in duration, but in all those parallels we have named. If you ask, can you prove your present position so absolutely that one who is opposed to the whole thing will be compelled in his own mind to acknowledge its truth? I answer no. I am not trying to reach that class, but am writing for those who are hungry for truth and are willing to search for it in this direction. These two covenants were represented by the two cherubim over the mercy seat. Each cherub had its wings extended so as to touch the walls of the house. That is, the one on the one side of the mercy seat had its wings extended from the one wall to the center over the mercy seat, and the other from the other wall to the center, and their faces were turned inward toward the mercy seat. The Jewish covenant looked forward in all its sacrifices to Christ. The gospel looks back to the rock from whence it was hewn. And these cherubim were to be of equal measure and equal size. The mercy seat, where I will meet with thee, according to Exodus 25:22, represents Christ. The Greek for mercy seat is hilasterion, and occurs but twice in the New Testament. And over it, the cherubim of gold, shadowing the mercy seat, Hebrews 9 verse 5. The other text is Romans 3 verse 25, the redemption that is in Christ Jesus, whom God hath sent forth to be a hilasterion, that is, mercy, or covering through faith in his blood. The cherubim looked, the one forward and the other back to the mercy seat. And we know that the Jewish covenant looked forward and the gospel back to Christ. The cherubim span the house, temple, or church of God, and we know that the church complete is to be made up from the two covenants. and thou shalt make them of equal measure and of equal size. We have not exhausted the evidence to prove that these cherubim represent the two covenants or testaments. It is the same word, for to do so involves the introduction of the two witnesses of Revelation 11, for which we have no space in this chapter, but will add that the evidence from this source that the two are to be of equal measure is fully as strong as from the prophetic argument. And of course most of this has been abandoned now by Jehovah's Witnesses, but it was thought by Barbour that you could prove these things from these types as well as from the double dispensations of equal length. I would have to say that there are at least 4 Jewish Christian interpreters of the same period of Barbour, Russell, and Rutherford who are far better at guiding us through these tangled Old Testament types and prophecies than were the leaders who became influential in forming the present theology of the Watchtower. And those 4 Jewish Christians would be Franz Delitzsch, Alfred Edersheim, Adolf Saffer, and David Barron. So I want to link to a video we did on Barron. Who has history vindicated? The Watchtower or David Barron?